Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Bruco marketing truck and our, normally the beer tent breakdowns. And we are, as we've spoken about in our other podcasts, we've been working very hard with the vets to bring vets in this year. And this year we have Dr Oliver Siddons from Oxford Equine Vets. Welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So let's start a little bit about how you've been approached. You were approached, and what was your thoughts when you first heard the term horseboarding?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had heard a little bit about horseboarding in the past, just through the industry, but hadn't ever sort of been a part of it. And then when I was approached to help you guys out at the Tame Show, I thought this is absolutely up my street. I've done a lot of work in the past with racing, eventing, dressage, show jumping. Never done something like this. I thought, right, let's see how we can come on board and see how it all works out.
Yeah, so well, before we go into that, I'm intrigued to know what you heard in the past. Where do you how did it come into your...
Yeah, so I mean, I've sort of come across things in social media. Again, more from the sort of more extreme sports side of things. I'm quite into my climbing and things like that. So from that perspective, I sort of seen these crazy montage videos of people riding behind horses on boards, dust being kicked up. And I thought, that looks crazy. I never thought I'd actually be a part of it. So yes, it's a bit of an honor to be here.
I mean, that's so you have that extreme adrenaline kick as well.
Absolutely right.
And again, so of course you've mentioned a lot of different horse sports there. There's a lot of different experience and knowledge, and that's what you're able to bring to us. Tell us about the systems. I tried to describe it over in a previous podcast, but tell us about how the system now that you're putting into place.
No, absolutely. So I think there's two major roles that I have as the vet here. I think that the first one was the pre-season assessments of all of the horses. So it was an assessment of the horse from a sort of a broader picture. So we're assessing the heart, the lungs. We do a soundness assessment as well. And we check that the horses are not only fit to compete, but we just raise anything that might need a little bit of work on throughout the season for the competitors to go home and just concentrate on. So that's sort of the first part of it. The second part is your more normal assessing the horses during the competition, checking for any injuries, checking their welfare is maintained, and just checking any niggles that might crop up in the course of the competition.
I mean, I can't express how much of a relief that is to hear you saying all that. These are the things, of course, that we wanted to put into place. I have lost sleep over this over the winter as to what we were going to do and how we were going to implement it and how we were going to make that step, because it is quite a big step. But so you've been here a day. This is your second day now.
Indeed.
We've seen 3 heats.
Yes.
And what's your sort of generalized take on it from a horse's point of view and what the sport demands of the horse?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's interesting. I think when you look at the horses that we've had competing this weekend, it's quite the mix. You've got everything from off-the-track thoroughbreds, from a few months back, to pre-established competition ponies. So I think the beauty of the sport is that every horse from many different backgrounds can actually come and compete on a level playing field. And every horse, when you watch every single round, every horse competes it slightly differently. You've got some horses that take enormous stride lengths, but maybe are less agile in the corners. And you've got these smaller ponies that, wow, have got the power and particularly agile. So it's testing for the horses, absolutely. But every horse, I feel, brings something different to the table.
Over the seasons, we've had everything from Shetlands to Shires.
Yes.
The Shire, I have to say, made the arena fencing look very small as it was going around, and the rope had to be a lot longer because, of course, the back leg was so much longer. I think there has been certainly in the past questions about, are you going to separate the horses on breed or height or something? And whilst at the moment we haven't got the number of horses to really want to warrant doing that,
indeed.
But also the whilst you've got 14-2 ponies that can beat an ex-racehorse on the right field, on the right ground,
Yes.
and we used to have, years ago, we had a cob, I'm trying to remember his name now, Levi, Gypsy Cob, and he was in the elite, although the elite was a slightly different sport at the time. He was in the elite, and he could win on a wet ground, on a small arena. He could win. So people were like, well, you're going to put that horse shouldn't be racing with that horse. Like, well, sometimes that horse beats that horse.
Well, no, exactly. I think that's what surprised me over the weekend. You know, as you see these horses, you think, crikey, I mean, that's a massive gangly thoroughbred. Surely that's going to win. But actually, like you said, you know, I think the way that the course is designed, it lends itself to both, you know, fast straights, but also, you know, those slower, more controlled corners. I think when you look at where some of the slip-ups have been, it's actually when maybe those two things haven't quite been met with some of the combinations. But I love the fact, actually, I think it's one of the few, like I said, one of the few equestrian sports where the horses can compete on a completely level playing field, and every horse brings its own little piece to the
and it's great to see the audience like it as well. But as we go through, of course, the general track stays the same and has stayed the same for a few years now.
Yes.
Now, we make more minor alterations to it, but generally the design, we feel at this stage, shows the horse the audience as many times as we can, and challenges the different elements
absolutely
within it. And then, of course, but what does change is the arenas that we go into. So the ground conditions, the weather conditions, and the size and shape of the arenas. So when we start here, we'll go to East Anglia next. That's not very forgiving as an arena. The gates come up very, very quick.
Yes.
It has been narrower in the past. Last year it was a little bit wider. So it presents lots of challenges for the board rider, which then, of course, presents challenges for the horse rider to be able to put the board rider in the right place, in the right corner, at the right speed. So different in that respect. Different courses have different limiting factors based on how they're laid out. But as we go through the season, the courses generally get bigger and bigger and bigger until we go to Sandringham at the end of the season, where it's 115 meters from inside cone to inside cone. It's 60 or 70 meters wide, depending on how they've done, and that's where they're hitting 33 into the first corner. And obviously that is the home of the racehorse, because they get to use the longer stride.
Yes.
And also we notice as well, in the wet, the racehorse's top end does come down a lot, whilst the ponies and the slightly short horses, their speed maintains, shall we say. So in terms of, generally, I guess I'm not repeating the question, but generally, what do you see? How do you see it going? The future of your involvement, and what are the things you can guide? You can guide the sport on. Really, that's what we're asking you to do.
Absolutely. And I think in recent years, equestrian sports have definitely come under the spotlight increasingly. So I think you have to have a real grounding of a veterinary care within all equestrian sports now, and having protocols in place, things like the pre-season checks, so that we're checking actually, and we're feeding back to the riders and the owners. These are little pointers that you need to be aware of. It's also keeps us in check as well, to say actually we just need to keep an eye on that horse throughout the season as it progresses. So I think having a little bit of continuity there, and having these set protocols, this is how we're going to structure those veterinary checks. Bring the sort of the horseboarding sport in line with things like endurance, where it's a very regimented veterinary assessment that all of the competitors are aware of. I think if we get that in place throughout the season, I think we're probably going to have happier, healthier horses by the end, and hopefully, touch wood, avoid any incidents.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that you said there kind of set my mind ablaze, really. But I'm going to. I think we'll call that there. Thank you very much for coming in.
No, it was wonderful. Thank you for inviting me.
For being a part of it, and like I say, this has been a major part. I was going to actually. That was what I was going to say before I finished. That our general focus and our general sort of idea for the next level of horseboarding is that we have vets. I would like to look at getting a physio in, as in a human physio,
yes.
and then having dedicated coaches. So from a riding point of view and from a boarding point of view, who when a team comes into the sport, they straight away understand that we're setting a certain level of standards.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
by being a part of the sport, we can help them with riding, we can help with the clubs, we help them with boarding, we help them with the horse knowledge,
Yes.
which is another very important thing. Because you can't assume just because people own horses that they necessarily are experienced.
Indeed.
There's a difference between from the filming industry, what we would call a civilian rider and a professional rider, and I'm sure that's throughout all the equestrian disciplines as well. So being able to bring a team in, educate them, and monitor their development with people dedicated for that.
Absolutely.
And you're the first step along that road.
I appreciate it. And I think because the sport is so unique, it's very difficult to draw parallels. And I think having a team, like I said, a team of vets, trainers, physios that know the sport, know the demands on both boarder and horse and rider, I think that'd be really beneficial, and I think it should hopefully encourage more people to come into the sport.
Yeah, excellent. That will take some time. Everything we've ever done has always taken a lot longer than I ever imagined it would.
Oh yeah, always does.
So that's everything. First, thank you very much, Oliver.
Thank you.
And do check them out at Oxford Equine Vets if you're in the area. And they will be with us more, and we'll have a further chat. I'd like to get to know more about the climbing, and we will see you again soon.